Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. I hope everyone is having a great day. All caught up on the random comings and goings of everything out there, and I hope your weather is good. My guest tonight is Chuck Banks, author, friend, coach, teacher, all kinds of stuff. Big one nowadays, minister, and he's also a paranormal investigator. He is the author of 21 or 22 books, so he's been really busy with his computer. So I'd like to welcome Chuck Banks to the show.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure to be on your show, Denise. I always love pretty much everything that you and Ron do. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
It is. I think it's going to be great because we haven't had a chance to visit in quite a while because you've been busy, I've been busy, and we're working on moving, so we may not see you again for a long time. So,
where are you headed?
South.
South. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Our daughter moved from Las Vegas to Florida, and two of our other daughters are ready to move south to Florida too. So we're making sure that we all get our stuff together and get the hell out of here.
Well, I'm sure the weather will be a lot better down there.
Yeah, it rains quite often down there, but besides that, I want to spend New Year's Day at the beach.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound unreasonable, does it?
No, just like spring break, man. I try to talk the wife into going to a beach somewhere, and that's hopefully not iced over. We'll see what happens.
Well, it just depends. I would suggest not going to Panama City Beach. It is spring break hell for most people. We went to our daughter got married in Panama City Beach the first time she got married, and Pineapple Pete's, they told us there that place is hell on wheels during spring break. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, we went to Myrtle Beach a couple years back, and it was a wonderful trip, but the water was way too cold, Yeah.
Yep, that's why you got to go someplace where it's warmer. So right now, my boss went to Barbados. She went this weekend. I was like, she's gone for 2 weeks. I was like,
oh man, I don't know whether I want to go anywhere with balloons and earthquakes and all that crap going on, right?
Well, it is what it is. As long as we don't have giant. I've read an article today about a giant. They theorized that a giant asteroid hit where the Gulf Coast is now and created a 2.5 mile high tsunami. And I'm like, great, this is just what I need to see today. And then my daughter sends me a news article of a plane crash that is right across the street from a subdivision I was looking at.
Yeah, well, you get a gator that comes in your room and stuff like that. It'll be fun, right?
Actually, what's funny is last night we were talking about that. We were talking about things that have come into our house. In Kansas City, Missouri, we had a rat that got in there that I had to kill. We had a couple of snakes that got into our house. And I said, well, thank God alligators can't get into your house. And Ron goes, you never know.
Well, and I saw on TikTok, I said TikTok, the other day, there was a bear that busts open the front door in a Colorado subdivision. And I'm thinking, man, I'm kind of glad I live in Iowa because at least we don't have any bears, beating in the front door. Wouldn't that be something?
Are you sure? Because not too far south of you, there are bears in Missouri.
Oh yeah, but subdivision here in Donaldson, pretty flat area. I hope we see it before it gets to my house, but who knows, right?
It's kind of like a tornado. I got to see it before it gets here.
Absolutely.
So you guys got a lot of snow and stuff up there this year?
We haven't. Everything's kind of split. It's either went up kind of with Nick and Sue up by Cedar Rapids, or it's went south where my mother-in-law's at, down around Columbia. Here I think overall we've only seen about 5-6 inches of snow total, so it's been pretty slow.
I don't even think we've seen that.
You guys saw some ice, right?
We had a little bit of ice. We just had the really bad cold mostly.
Yeah.
You know, so we've only had to turn our fireplace on for about a week, you know, just in case of power outage, you know, at least have that on so that we can, because, you know, they're electric fireplaces, the electric start. So you kind of have to be prepared for them. So,
we burnt a lot of wood in our fireplace around Christmas, but it hasn't been, you know, cold enough where we've really had to use it, you know, here recently.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. So, so what has Chuck been up to? And heck, it's probably been 2 years since I've interviewed you.
It's been a long time. You know, there were a few times for whatever the powers that may be in the world. You know, I couldn't get on the show, and you know, I apologize. But no, you know, this past year's been, you know, it's been a lot of peaks and valleys. My football team made the playoffs, which was awesome. You know, turning around, you know, from the COVID year, and then, you know, the year after when we were really fighting talent, made the playoffs. I'm going to be switching jobs here soon. You know, my hat's off to my kids, you know, at the school district. I love them. And I'd still do anything for them. So that's kind of switching. You know, we've had, you know, just bits and things that have kind of went a little bit wonky. Has been quiet on the paranormal front. You know, I went on a couple of investigations with my, you know, my home group up in Cedar Rapids, Short Bus Paranormal. Other than that, you know, I haven't seen any private cases since last year. You know, I think it was late January, and that one was pretty dark and demented. And you know, I don't know. You know, sometimes it takes its toll on your body and your spirituality and that sort of stuff. And you know, and I went through a bout of anxiety and depression. And you know, I think that's always important to you know, to throw out there as an overthinker, man. You know, it nearly took me out. And you know, for a guy that's found God, lost God, found God, lost God, found God, lost God, or whatever, it definitely took its toll on my body. And I decided, you know, for the benefit of my family and myself, you know, I went into the doctor and said, "Hey, man, something isn't quite right." And you know, I've started to level out, and you know, kind of taking things day by day, allowing God to, you know, to put me where I need to be, you know, because I was a little bit angry. You always get angry when you want something so damn bad. Pardon my French. You want something so bad, and God veers you off to go in another direction. And I think that's the big story. It's about you know, having patience, which you know, I'll be honest with you. My family would say that that's probably limited, but and also it's that thing called faith. And you know, that's something I've definitely struggled with in the last 12 months. I would say, you know, for anybody out there that would say, "Oh, you know, you're perfect and whatever," as a man of God, man, I'm far from it. And you know, who knows what the future may lie, but I do know that you know, I'm right where God wants me. It might not be where Chuck wants me, but it's where God wants me. And I think that's the important part.
That does. I mean, that is where we need to be. You know, we need to be available for God, whether it's no matter what. There is no whether. It's no matter what. So I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat room. If you guys have any questions for Chuck, please put them in the chat and I will make sure I ask those questions. And Facebook user, please go to StreamYard and give them permission to utilize your name so that we can see who you are, or at least tell me who you are so that we can not call you Facebook user. So other than that, we got lots of good listeners in here tonight. We've got the Roberts, Susan and Mike, we got Gary Whitmer, and we got Evelyn. And let's see, who did I miss? I did not miss anyone. So you're being listened to live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, YouTube, and on Facebook you're being listened to live on Japan Paranormal's page, as well as the Paranormal Pride and the Bill of Rights Network. So we have all kinds of places that people are going to love hearing what you're going to be sharing tonight. So, and Gary, it's Cassie. Hey, Cassie. So what was the catalyst that made you feel like you needed to make a change in what you were doing?
Well, I look back at when I was just kind of wholeheartedly digging into the paranormal self exploration, and that's something that I can say out there, from experience that it definitely put a damper on who I was, the foundations, and that sort of stuff. I think I think when when I started rattling around in the occult, Denise. And you know what I mean, where you're connecting with forces maybe that you don't quite understand, or that forces that may appear as something that it's not. Mm-hmm. And the amount of darkness, and I don't know whether it's superficial magic and all that crap that went on. It definitely did put a damper in my relationship with God, and as well as my relationship with my family. And I look at my relationship with my oldest daughter and her family, and I kind of blame that portion of my life for that. And what people don't understand is that we all we all have our experiences and things like that, but when you dabble and you get to the point to where you're channeling messages and you don't know 100% where those messages are coming from. That's where I kind of forewarn, and I've got a lot of great friends in the paranormal that would disagree, but again, that's kind of my path and my experience. And when you're visited by dark forces, it tends to change your philosophies and who you are. And I have no qualms with people's beliefs and all that sort of stuff, but I kind of compare it to my experience in Christianity as far as the churches that I went to, and that my wife and I went to, and every time that we would get comfortable, something would happen, and you would lose your faith, with the people that are giving their, people that call themselves Christians in art, pastors that call themselves Christians in art, and I kind of compare it to that. You have to be doggone careful. And when I was able to, establish a deeper connection with God and kind of my facets with it, it's definitely changed things. It doesn't mean that I don't meditate and I don't see things, but I've drawn a little bit more clarity, and I've drawn a line in the sand of what I'm going to personally experience, what I'm going to let in, inside who I am and that thought process. I used to call myself a medium. I would call myself a vessel from God, and I think that's the difference. And again, yeah, you know as well as I do that people label things and they do that sort of stuff, and it is what it is. But it's definitely changed. It's changed who I am. It's changed my relationship with my family, and again, sometimes when you think everything's going right, you have that ego, you have that that where you're only in it for yourself. And I blame that. I blame the darker energies for that. And when I've been able to open up, it's definitely been a healing process. But I would say, things really started to change when this, I don't know what you call it, but it's a dark force, and it's been extremely strong in the world, and we know that. But the last couple months, I've been reawakened, you might say, as to what my path on this great earth is going to be.
Well, I know that what you're talking about, because before we moved here to where we live now, I worked for a church, and I did all the daycare for them, and I met all these lovely people in a church group, and I really liked the people. So I addressed them one day and said, "Hey, I'd like to become a member of your church." I was ignored. I was good enough to watch their kids. I was good enough to be left down in the basement with all the kids all the time, but I wasn't good enough to be part of the church. And I took that really personal. So did some friends of mine who were were part of that church. And they actually ended up leaving that church because they didn't feel that that was the Christian thing to do. For me to be, left to wander, basically. So here I was asking, pretty much begging to be part of their community. And do you know what I never did again? Never asked to be part of anything again like that. I continued working for other churches and, doing their daycare on Sunday mornings and stuff. But I never wanted to be part of it again because I just felt like I was going to be rejected. So that sucks to be rejected. But that did not waver my faith in God. It wavered my faith in people. So I'm not a very trusting person of people.
No.
All these people that are listening are going, "Oh my God, I thought she liked me." It has nothing to do with like. It has to do with trust. My trust has been, my trust got broken all those years ago, and it is what it is. Did that make me go into the paranormal? No, I was born this way, and I like how you said that. You're not a medium. You're a vessel of God. I tell people all the time, and you've heard me say this, I'm not a medium. I just tell you what I hear. And if I hear it, great. And if I don't, I don't. So are you doing any kind of what we used to call mediumship readings?
I sit and I counsel a little bit, but I wouldn't call it mediumship readings. I feel that obviously God has the power to heal and that sort of stuff. But not really. You know what I'm saying? Like it used to be.
Yeah. You're not out there doing Reiki and all this other stuff.
No.
You're just basically channeling the person in front of you, talking to them and giving them the wisdom that you're being given from God.
And kind of I wouldn't even call it prophetic. I'd call it more, hey, I'm going to pray for you, and let's try to reach out to God together, and let's establish that deeper connection. Because that I've had a string of relationships out there where people were almost cultish like, and I hate that. I try again and again to anybody that I talk to. I'm trying to get them to think for themselves, to be able to connect with themselves, because it's this cultish crap where these fakes out there are not even necessarily fakes, maybe snakes in the grass out there that are just trying to get a paycheck. And I granted, any of your time that you're going, you should, your time's valuable. Every second, every minute that God gives us is a blessing. And I think that's important. But I just felt it almost felt like a spiritual prostitute. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. You feel like probably feel like you're being passed around and everything else, and that you're selling your soul for whatever is coming your way, for the attention, for the event, whatever it is that's going on. And for me, I just try to be me all the time. I don't want to give in to, this cult following. I mean, the paranormal can be a cult following.
Can be, yeah.
I mean, let's talk about Malvern Manor. That place has a cult following. You can't tell anybody anything negative about that place. They'll, they'll shut you down. Okay. And anybody listening, I have nothing negative to say. It's not that, but it's an example that a lot of this stuff gets to be like that. And it just grows and grows like the stories of Bigfoot, just keeps on growing, and Bigfoot's getting bigger every day because of it. So, I don't know. It's one of those things that sometimes stepping back is probably the best thing we can do.
And it's funny you say that, because that was kind of my next thought. I look at, you look at how many times I've told my story and that sort of stuff. And, it's really not about me. And that's something I've had to come to terms with is, pretty much everything or every action or interaction, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's anything, I always made it about me instead of, kind of taking that step back and realizing, hey, man, this has nothing to do with you. Why are you overthinking, and why are you putting yourself in that manner? But I took a huge step back, and, mentally, psychologically, whatever, it's extremely important, especially in my experiences, because every time that I get to the point to where I feel like I've healed, Denise, it comes back, and it comes back 1,000 times harder, if that makes any sense. And, sometimes you're just like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I got to fix this. I have to heal in order to, or truly heal in order to move forward. And I think too often we just get caught up in that mindset, whether it's ego, whether it's whatever. It's truly not all about us, I guess.
For a while there, I felt like you had an oppression going on. Anytime that you were in your basement, you were on air, you were always talking about the darkness behind you. The darkness in the room back there, or whatever was coming through. And I remember one show that we were on with you that was all you could talk about. Mm-hmm. You were so you were being oppressed, but you were obsessed. And I'm actually surprised you didn't get possessed.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even say that I didn't.
We don't know for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was such an obsession. I can remember Freddie Rivera, one of my good friends that passed away several years ago in New York, and I was starting to deal with outside forces that I can't explain, and I will throw this out there that, I mean, for example, my father died, so I got angry at God. I cussed I cussed I called God every name in the book, man. And, I was upset. So I was looking for that vessel to basically, reach my family again. And, just 1 second, man, 1 second. And anytime that you open those doors to the occult, any time that you've self-imposed something like this, things like 3 knocks. I mean, people are like, 3 knocks or nothing, whatever, man. That happened at 3 a.m. in the morning. All right. I know better. And again, back then I felt like I was like, when people would say, "Oh, that's not true," back then I was like, man, I had to prove it. Whereas at this juncture in my life, I don't have to prove nothing to anybody.
Nope.
It's kind of like that grouchy old man that's had a bad day, and he's on the road. He's driving along, and somebody's flipping him crap or honking or doing whatever. You don't want to mess with a guy like that, and that's where I'm kind of at in my life, to where it's not even one day at a time anymore. It's like 1 minute, because, if I can just make a difference in the world for this next 60 seconds, think about that. Think about compound interest and all that sort of stuff. And again, I was so obsessed. Because I wanted to figure out what this crap was. If it wasn't my dad, man, I wanted to figure it out. So I dug and I dug and I dug. Man, I lost time. Mm-hmm. I was getting visits from, some dark shadow figures. I got pictures that would make Zach Bagans jealous. I mean, come on.
It won't take much.
No, but you want to look at the evidence that I've gained over the years. I don't have to prove nothing. And I'll tell you, man, careful what you wish for, because that crap will hit you in the face, and it will lead you down a road of ill repute. It'll take time away. It'll take those 60 seconds away. And I won't call it demonic, but I will. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. So since you're on this subject, I'm going to ask this question from Gary. Mm-hmm. Do you believe a Christian can be possessed?
I believe that a Christian can be repossessed, if that has any stretch in the imagination. Now, depending on your beliefs, your rights, and all that sort of stuff, because there's a multitude of beliefs when we look at even just Christianity. And but I will tell you that a Christian that's been touched by the darkness, if that makes any stretch of the imagination, sure, it can come back. You want to look at familiar spirits, something that's went on in your family. And if you read the Bible, and I'm not going to preach the Bible because not tonight, because that's something that I don't feel compelled right now to do. But you look at all these familiar spirits and things like that, and things that come back, and generational, and all that sort of stuff. I do believe that it can happen. Now, I'll tell you what, my faith was not that strong when I was trying to reach out in a multitude of different spiritualities. If you look at my book, Peering into the Void, probably the best book that I've ever written, because it calls out the spiritual community as a whole and the religious community. It calls them out. It says, beware of false prophets, because they're everywhere, man. And they're coming from every angle, and everybody's got a take. It's kind of like, if I type in Facebook and I type in the sky is blue, and 19 people say it's green or red or whatever. It's one of those things. Until we can just accept the fact that God is within all of us, that God is around us, and that God is good, and we'll just kind of let God motor us to where we need to be, we're going to get in trouble, because we have this humanist point of view, and we don't understand it. And I'm sorry if you disagree, that's fine. Whereas 5-10 years ago, man, I said, you better agree with me, whatever. But things have changed, yeah.
Well, I totally understand, because, like I said, I've known you a long time. The last time we were together, something wasn't right. This was when we were at Mineral Springs. You told us bye. You told us goodbye. And I knew something wasn't right. And about a week later, you were jumping out of the paranormal and jumping into finding yourself. Your life had gotten so bad that I think that you had been given an ultimatum from your spouse. It's a feeling that I had at the time. So I knew that you were making a change for the better. And I was glad to hear from you when I did that that's what you were doing. There was just something in your voice that night.
I really didn't answer his question. Do I believe a Christian can be possessed? Repossessed. If that's the only way I can describe that. But no, Denise, I had hit the boiling point. you know, and again, this anxiety or depression or whatever that hits you, and it hits you often, and you know, I think the biggest thing is when you you have to put yourself first and be okay with that. I was able to put myself first, begin to love myself again, and then I was able to love those around me even more so. And you know, if somebody's going through tangles and they're, well, let's just put it this way. Back then, I was dumping gas on a flame, and I was probably as close to suicide as you could get at that point. That I said goodbye. So, you know, I again, that's kind of that humanist point.
Yeah.
You know, and it's where it's very egotistical. Now, is it, you know, the woe is me, you know, everything's about me. And again, when I was able to counteract that, you know, it changed things.
Well, I'm just grateful that you did and that you're here with us today. And Rose posted this. She says, being oppressed was the best thing that ever happened to her. It forced her to seek Christ.
Yeah. And, you know, God bless you, Rose, for sharing that. I'll be honest with you, though. If I had never experienced anything paranormal in my entire life and I had just kind of skated through, I think that it would have been great. I'm just being honest.
Well,
you know.
I mean, the paranormal has a two-sided effect that I don't think a lot of people get. If you're having paranormal experiences, we never dig in to figure out why we are and why the person next door to us is not.
Yeah.
Is it because you have a family curse that is with you and that you're always going to experience paranormal until you do something to break that curse? Or is it a God-given thing? You know, we never ever dig into the why. And it's maybe because we can't get to that why, to the answer.
You know, I had a guy several years ago, he kind of described this as kind of the onion. You know, the outside of the onion might be rotten. You know, so you have to peel the outside of the onion. You keep going through the layers, and then eventually you get to the core, which is your, you know, what happened that caused you to have these experiences or whatever. And you know, it's funny that you bring up, you know, how could this basement have been haunted and my neighbor's basement had not been haunted? I mean, you know me. How many hours did I spend in this basement? And I experienced a lot of dark crap.
I mean, I know you were spending at least 2 to 3 hours a night down there just doing shows.
Yeah.
At one point. And again, those shows were, again, all about you. You know, and you know, that's I mean, sometimes my shows are about me. It's about me wanting to know more about all this stuff. But the bulk of the time I want to make it about you and about the listener. And I'm just like a conduit. But you are being a conduit for something else. And maybe that you being a conduit was recruiting for the other side.
Absolutely. You know, you look at how many doors, you know, you open. And again, I don't know. You can almost describe the darkness in your experiences with the paranormal, if it's dark, with that of you know, an addict, right? You know, it feels so much better to have this darkness around me, right? It's that addict point of view.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't feel better, but,
but your brain is making all this serotonin or whatever it is to make you feel high from it.
Well, and you know, Satan and his minions aren't going to come across as a bad feeling because they want to get in, and once they get in, once they latch, that's when all hell breaks loose. And I think you know, a lot of these people that are getting in the paranormal and they want to experience, they want to get scratched. Okay, I've been scratched, burned, whatever. Okay, I'll tell you, you don't want to experience that. They want to experience something at the end of the bed. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
They want to feel the bed pop. You know, they're like, hey, something touched, something throw across. No, you don't, because once you experience that, you're like, dang.
Once you are marked, you've got to fight it every single day.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying anything you don't know, but I have been scratched, pushed, things thrown at me so damn many times that I know that I have to be on alert anywhere I go, including my, you know, Walmart or, you know, any place between where I'm not safe to where I am safe.
And you know what's crazy is the other night, I haven't even talked about this with anybody, but the other night, you know, I'm door dashing. I do that for extra money while Cat's in college. Anyway, so I'm down at this establishment. It's dark, 6:30, so it's fairly. And this lady, you could tell that she had been on meth or something like meth. Okay, you can just you can always tell when they're like that. But she was like trying to communicate and saying, you know, stuff that, you know, and I was like, man, you know, Satan is always around. So, no, how I fight that off personally is I pray each night. I pray for everybody else, and then I pray for myself, and I go to sleep. In the morning, I pray, oh God, you know I got to go to work, but, you know, can you help me make a difference? And that's all it takes. You know, for me personally, some people have to have rosaries and rocks and all kinds of crap. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, people can think what they want, but ultimately it's in your heart anyway. But yeah, it's strange. It's definitely been a strange ride since 2010, and I can't believe it's been this long. You know, the amount of experiences and sometimes harrowing experiences that, you know, not only myself, but, you know, other people, you know, have experienced as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's your day job, you are an educator. How does your path from in the paranormal and Christianity help with your education?
Well,
goals.
I think I think by, you know, putting yourself in the shoes of these kids, you know, what we don't understand is we don't understand every kid is going through something differently, and you know, most of them are you know, might have a rough life, and you know, I think you know, God allows me to intervene and help, you know, some of these at-risk kids and, you know, people that are going through some things that they don't, you know. I think the paranormal Christianity's helped me establish relationships. You know, I'm a relationship guy. I'm a relationship guy on the football field too, or any field of competition. And I think just by opening your heart and letting people know that you're there for them is extremely important. Also, the ability to reach out when you need to reach out, and I think you and I are probably as hard headed as they come. You know, we're not going to reach out if you know, even, but it's funny because there are times that I'll reach out or you'll reach out and it hits at the right moment. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. God, again, God works in mysterious ways, and you know, I definitely appreciate that when you do reach out.
Well, you know, when I send a message, it's usually because something makes me do that. So I assume that it's the power of God. I don't assume that it's a demon saying, hey, reach out and touch someone today.
Talk to Chucky, right?
Yeah. Well, if it tells me that, I'm probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, hello, Ruth and April.
April is so right. You know, special needs, a lot of spiritual things in the SPED world. Absolutely. And you know what's interesting is I'm going to take a job in special education next year as long as I get offered. We're still waiting on the paperwork and the offering and stuff like that. So I'm kind of going back. I started out in special education, went to history, and but I'm going to go back over there. I hope with this new school district, and that's going to allow me to reach out and help not only the special needs students but their parents as well.
That, when I was going to college, when I started all those years ago, I wanted to be a special education teacher because I have 6 handicapped cousins. And so I was always around it, and I was doing respite care for the state of Missouri. So all the children I took care of were special needs. And about the time that I was, graduating with my associate's degree, I realized something. Love the kids. Parents were a problem.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with the parents. And I had been running an in-home daycare for all those years that I lived in Kansas City, Missouri. So I knew the parents, I knew the kids, I knew what I wanted to do. Guess what I did? I went to a corporate world where I get to do daycare with special needs adults all the time. So it is what it is. But, I couldn't do it because it hurt too much. Not the kids, but the parents not listening. Maybe they were listening. Maybe they weren't hearing what I was saying, what I was seeing with their children. So it is what it is, I guess. But I hope that you go back to special education because they need good people who give a crap about their kids. Somebody that's going to hold the kid's hand sometimes as well as the parents.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes that's what the parents need is somebody who's going to love their kid as much as they do. So, and I know that you're that person.
I love people and animals so doggone much that sometimes that gets in the way. It does.
I know. And it makes it hard for us to, I don't know how to say it, but
well, we're looking at the world through rose-colored glasses, but it's that optimism, and I think that's something that has shifted in me is the optimism of the world versus the pessimistic view that I utilize, during those dark, tumultuous days.
Yeah. Well, that was something else,
Yeah.
And that's the thing, we all have a choice. We can always look at the bright side or not. I get told all the time at work, nobody knows how Denise really feels. They don't know. I smile when I talk the whole time, and everybody thinks I'm so positive all the time. And, on here, you guys can't tell when I feel bad unless I really truly look sick. You can't tell because I hide that because it's the best thing for everybody for me to be smiling or me to at least act happy. Because even if I'm not happy, if I act happy, I am happy. Does that make sense?
It's kind of like when I go in the classroom, when I started telling, the students, hey, man, I had kind of a rough weekend. I just want to, forewarn you guys that, in case I have an outburst, that and, since I've done that, mm-hmm. my classes they've been behaving better. I don't understand, but.
Okay. Well, then that may help, because I told my boss, that, I dressed up for Halloween one year. Okay. We did video chats like this and we all dressed up and they go, well, Denise, what are you today? And I said, I'm the granddaughter of a serial killer. So I am every day. I said, I don't need to dress up. And she goes, are you serious? I said, yeah, my family, we're known to get homicidal instead of suicidal. And ever since then, it's been great.
It's like, man, I am going to listen. Okay.
So, and the next day it was Halloween. They had us dress up again. And so I just put on all black and I put on this hood and my face was all black and they couldn't see my face. They go, well, what are you today? And I said, shadow person. But I told Ron, I said, I should wear that mask all the time when they have us get on video because, I am not comfortable. I know you guys are going to find this amazing. I'm not comfortable on video at work because when I listen, I don't smile as much. I have resting witch face.
My daughter has that RBF syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she'll be a great cop.
She'll just look at them.
Yeah.
And they'll just confess, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Does your daughter watch OP Live?
I'm not sure. Right now she is so stressed out about the amount of homework that she has at the University of Iowa. I don't think she has time to watch much of anything.
Well, I mean, it's only 3. Well, it's what is it? It's 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
But 6 hours a week, and I was a Live PD fan, and now I'm an OP Live fan, and I watch these cops and go, how in the hell do they do it? I can't do it. There we go, paranormal puppy.
Yeah, he was looking at me like, what are you doing?
Heidi ho, Bart. So we're gonna go to commercial here in a few minutes. So so that we can get that commercial put in there. I hope. Are we gonna? Okay, good. So what's the puppy's name for everybody?
Leo.
Does Leo can't hear us, so
No.
He is so pretty.
He's a sweetheart.
Does he sleep with you?
Yes. Yes. He gets away with anything, don't you, buddy?
Well, at least you got somebody to love you.
Yeah.
So he is a beautiful dog. I remember when you guys brought him home. It wasn't that long ago. So he's keeping you busy while the daughter's in school.
Oh yeah.
And she's away, right?
Yep, she's at the University of Iowa. It's about an hour north of us.
Well, isn't that she's in Iowa City then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where the really good medical college is.
Yep.
So they're treating Ron's cousin. She has a very rare disease, like it's 1 in a million or more. And a friend of mine was being treated there for liver cancer. So it is the place to go if you've got something rare. So, and your daughter's studying, apparently she's studying.
She wants to be a highway patrolman.
One of Ron's cousins is a highway patrolman in Nebraska, going across Highway 80 there. Yeah, we all know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
That's a crap job, but he loves it, and I can't imagine. She must have brass cojones to do that.
Well, it's in her blood. Grandpa, my dad was in law enforcement for 50 plus years. My niece is in law enforcement. She was the first female deputy in Wayne County, Iowa. And now, Kat's kind of following in Grandpa's footsteps. So excited for her.
Good for her. That is, police get a bad rap these days, and people need to understand there's good people and bad people in every field.
100%.
And I think that Kat is going to be one of the good ones. She is going to do great. And I know that she has a huge heart.
Oh, man.
Just like your son does.
Yeah.
So, and heck, your wife, oh my goodness, that woman's got to have a heart of stone to take care of all you guys.
Oh, absolutely. To put up with all of us.
Yeah, because I know she got really sick with COVID when you guys had that, right?
Yep, and she got COVID again here. Oh, it seems like every time she goes back to college, she gets super sick for a while.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's lots of gunk up there.
Oh, well. hopefully she can get over that. Maybe some zinc and some magnesium, some vitamin C, elderberry. There's all kinds of home remedies out there now for COVID, and Monongahela tea. Is that what it's called? There's a tea that you can get that's supposed to be really good for keeping you from getting it. It's grown in Louisiana, and they make moonshine out of it too. I'm trying to get some, but it went way up in price after COVID started.
Oh, shoot.
So, but I'll be living closer to Louisiana soon. Maybe I can just drive on over and get some. So, you know what? Since we're going to take a break, can you tell everybody where they can find your books?
Yeah. If you go to Amazon, you type in Charles Banks author Amazon, you'll see a huge slew of my books. I haven't put one out in over a year, but I'm currently kind of dabbling. So stay tuned.
And you've written books about politics, Christianity, and the paranormal, correct?
Yep.
And so if you guys are looking for inspiration, you can get those in any one of his books. More so in the coaching books and the Christianity books. So check those out. I have multiple Chuck Banks books, and I also have some stuff that he decided to get rid of when he got out of the paranormal the last time. They're just sitting down there collecting dust. I've only opened the box once, but that's it. I'm not really into tarot cards. I have a couple sets. Just don't even touch them. But, it's something. So we're going to go to break. So make sure you guys go get a drink and come back. You're listening to the Paranormal Pride on the Paranormal Pride Facebook page, as well as the Bill of Rights Network and Japan Paranormal. So you guys all come back, please. The views expressed here are solely the opinions of the hosts and the guests, and not necessarily those of the network, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. If you have an issue with the content of the show, please contact the show host. Thank you.
In the time when the world around us was falling apart, I answered the call. I left and you called me a hero. When I returned, you didn't care. Now you treat me as an outcast? 22. That's how many of my brothers and sisters die each day. 22. Every day I struggle with my demons. Every day is a war that I feel I'm losing. Every day I wonder if I'll be number 22. I fought so you could keep your freedom. The least you could do is acknowledge my existence.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I hope everybody had a good break, got a drink. I got mine with me. If it wasn't for Casey's, I don't know what I'd do.
Spill it on the floor.
Spill it on the floor, apparently. So what is your future looking like? You're talking about going, possibly changing schools. And do you feel that that's the... Sorry. Do you feel like that's the best move?
I do.
Spiritually as well?
I do. But again, it's all in God's hands. Again, taking it 1 minute at a time and, kind of letting that play out. Definitely, allowing, the Spirit of God to lead me where I need to be. Whether that's, again, having, I wouldn't say having to, because it's what God wants. But if he wants me to, to stay there, he will. Otherwise, I'll be taking that new job and kind of moving forward there. Potentially being, moving to be an assistant coach with a really great friend of mine and potentially getting back into coaching girls tennis, which I haven't done in a decade.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, something different. I got about 9-10 years left before I can officially retire with my top benefits and that sort of stuff. I did start writing again. It sounds dark, but it is what it is. The demons that left me is
that doesn't sound dark. That sounds like resolution.
Yeah, The Demons That Left Me is a book that I've started to write, and it'll probably come out on the 10-year anniversary of my first book, Paranormal Experiences: Death: The Final Frontier. And will that be my last paranormal book or whatever? Maybe not. But
my gut tells me that it may not be paranormal. It may be more spiritual. You'll have at least 2 more books after this that'll be spiritual. Just a guess. Yeah.
Hard to tell. Again, I'm just kind of letting that play day by day. Other than that, man, it's I'm going to enjoy the twilight of my life. I think I've worked so hard that I failed to see, a lot of the things that are going on around me. And I don't say that from I've been oppressed or whatever. No.
We do get sidetracked and miss out on some of the things that we really wanted to experience the first time, that we have to go back and do it again.
Absolutely.
It just is what it is. Whether we do, we miss a lot of stuff when we're raising our children.
Like
when we get to our grandchildren, we're not missing it. We're taking it all in.
100%. Like this summer, I'm going to spend more time fishing, and I'm going to do a little gold panning. It's something different.
Why not? We're hoping that this summer that I'm going to be able to go down and crab, catch my own crabs, or, tonight I made shrimp tacos because I'm trying to get rid of the stuff in my freezer, before we move. And I told Ron, I said, I'm hoping that the next time I buy shrimp, it will be from the fresh guy down the street that's selling shrimp and crabs, as opposed to Hy-Vee's frozen shrimp that's been frozen for 6 years.
Yeah.
So, so many things. I'm looking forward to Sunday dinners with my kids and their kids and the husbands, I want to hear them fight over football. Who's the better team? Hate to say it, Eagles are going to win.
Nope. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes, 31-17.
Too many people hurt on the Chiefs.
They're back.
Remember, we live here.
Patrick Mahomes, man.
Mm-hmm. You guys can hope that. But when the Eagles win, you guys will be going, Denise said it.
31-14. Go out and bet your entire paycheck, folks.
It's maybe 31-14, but it's going to be the other way. Call them choke 'em Chiefs.
No, not this year.
I'm just saying. Yeah. But, they could win only because of the fact that they are playing in State Farm Field. And who's the spokesperson for State Farm?
Patrick Mahomes. Anyway.
I'm just sick and damn tired of hearing about Mahomes cereals in Hy-Vee. I haven't been in Hy-Vee all year because I can't stand the commercials that they play in the store. And then Price Chopper had the Chiefs shirts before this for $14.99, and now they're $26.99.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Why? And it's the same shirts that were $14.99 3 weeks ago.
100%. Yeah.
Hey,
it's inflation. It's this big balloon that's popping, and it's inflation, right? Okay. That's enough political talk. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, we've got all kinds of things going on, but yeah, but do I, and everybody knows, they've heard me say this, I stopped watching football September 23rd, 2017.
When they were kneeling, right? Yeah.
That was when Baltimore went to London and took a knee.
Yeah.
I got mad and threw everything away, and I'm
my brother Joe, retired Chief Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, same way.
Mhm.
I have to watch football. I'm a football guy, and it's I mean, everybody knows that if I was to shave my beard, that I'd look like Andy Reid. So
Well, we have a guy in town that looks like Andy Reid. So it would not surprise me in the least.
yeah,
But, I'll tell you, you guys really need to, if you ever get a chance to get a tour of the stadium,
it's awesome.
do it. It is great. I did that. We had a team builder at both stadiums. So I got to go down into the, locker rooms and all that at different times. And it was really nice. When I was a cosmetics buyer for a drugstore here, well, it was a Walmart drugstore, but it wasn't called that. It's called Dot Drug. And we had a cosmetics event. I know this doesn't sound right, at Royal Stadium. And they took us down into the bowels of the building. And that was weird. That place is haunted. And
Kaufman, yeah. I would say yeah.
And it's not by anything recent. Hundreds of years ago, just stuff. It was just weird. But I never talked about that because, it wasn't acceptable. I mean,
could it be the mob?
There was a few things there that was more than 100 years ago.
Oh wow!
So it was really strange. But
I just saw a ghost behind you.
Yes.
I just saw him.
So, but it was just a strange place to have a cosmetics event to start with, and then taking us down through there. But I do have some history about the Kaufmans, though. I have actually some of Mrs. Kaufman's clothes in my closet.
Wow.
I used to work for this drugstore, a different drugstore in Prairie Village. And Mrs. Kaufman came in one day, and she had some of her daughter's clothes that she was going to give away. And she says, she's about your size. Will you want to come over? So I went over there, and I got these really pretty Nordstrom's, shirts and dresses and all this other stuff. Of course, you guys have seen me in a dress 0 times, but I used to wear that kind of stuff for work. But I've got these beautiful clothes that I can't even tell you how much they probably spent on them. So Laura Hockaday was her daughter, and it was just one of those weird things. But they were the nicest people, Mr. and Mrs. Kaufman, when they would come into the store. They were just so nice and so friendly. And it was strange when you go to their house. All I did was drive up and drive off. They just put the bag in my car. But it was a weird thing. But those were nice people. I really liked them. I don't even know who owns the Royals now. I haven't been there in years.
I think Mahomes owns part of them.
Some Walmart.
Some Walmart people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the Walton family.
Well, that's why they can't win a game, because they keep chopping the prices on the salary, right?
I don't know. What they've been doing is they've been making us check ourselves out now for a couple of years.
Yes. I tried to claim that on taxes, but now I'm going to prison.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. I watch that, and I told, Ron and I talk about it all the time about.
Now you got to watch the game and play it too.
Watch the game and play it too.
Not this guy. I'd be out. I'd be on IR.
One of the things that we've been talking about Walmart is how much money is walking out the door at self-checkout, or is never being spent with, not with the self-checkout, but with the having your personalized shopper go and do all your shopping for you. How many things are they not selling now?
Sam Walton.
I tell you, I'm seeing more and more stuff on clearance.
Sam Walton came back from the dead. He'd fire all of them.
Yeah. And well, it's like going to McDonald's and you're waiting 27 minutes to get a cheeseburger. customer service is gone. That's
Yeah.
sad.
There is no customer service anymore. And so when you do go to some place like Chick-fil-A or Whataburger and they have excellent customer service, people don't know what to do.
Mm.
They're completely, I mean, we're shocked as anything when somebody says, "Hi, may I help you?" and really be excited to take your order and really excited to give it to you. And you're sitting there going, do you have to be so cheery? Everybody makes it bad. It's like, I don't know. So I don't know. It's one of those weird things that we just look at these days and go, why? But, just be happy that people are happy around you.
Exactly.
And if they're not, then you make the decision on who you want to be around. So if you were around a child who came to you and said, I'm experiencing something strange in my house, how would you go about interviewing him about that?
Well,
or getting him to talk about it more.
As an educator, I would probably have to shut it down in the educational realm, because pretty much any time that you discuss anything like that, it could be risque with your what I'm saying, your job. But for whatever reason, I would definitely talk to them. Hey, what's going on? And that sort of stuff. Might reach out to their parents. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, to help out.
Right. You have to, you have to cover your rear on that, but there's got to be some way to guide the conversation to figure out what's going on. And I know that you wouldn't be able to do it on your own because of different things, beliefs and all that other stuff.
I'll tell you what, every kid calls me a Ghostbuster. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, in the high school. Come on, it's but man, it's like every time that a sophomore class comes in and they find out that I've written a book on the paranormal, they're like, could you show me a picture? And I'm like, well, you do your homework and you get good grades and then we'll talk, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think, the way I come across and the way I'm fair with, a lot of that stuff. And again, relationship building, and they know that I'm not going to take advantage, of who they are and that sort of stuff. And, I've had some pretty intense conversations with, some students. I've kind of told them, who they, should contact with and stuff like that. But I try to steer clear as far as, me saying, oh, I'll come to your house and investigate.
Right. And that would be the worst thing you could do. But, that's the thing. I mean, I know that I have people come to me all the time and ask for advice on how to, their 4-year-old is seeing ghosts. And I have to give advice on, as parent to parent, what they should do, which is not make a big deal out of it, especially at 4, because 4-year-olds have imaginations as well. So you do have to get down to the bottom of it. But there are some things that we shouldn't do as an adult, and that's pretty much egg it on.
Yeah. Or, and the worst thing you want to do is if they're already scared, you don't want to make them more scared,
Right.
Because fear again is one of those things that can latch, where for whatever reason these things can latch onto you. And like at the high school level, most of them are, they're a bunch of adrenaline junkies anyway, so they're looking for a good time, if that makes any sense. And
yeah,
and I always try to direct them, hey, I would be careful, doing some of those things. So
yeah, they're looking for that roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I just know I've had people come to me all the time, and I give them advice like, write down what the child has said, and when they said it, what day of the week it was, what was going on. Was there a full moon? Was it possible that they just saw a shadow through the, from a car or from the moon, or
You still there?
Okay.
You broke up on me.
There we go.
Okay.
So, but you know what I mean? You know, practical advice, whether it's paranormal or not, just what's going on so that you can figure it out, how to deal with it. I sometimes I just don't know what to tell some parents on the stuff that they're telling me that their kids see and stuff. So,
because there is a fine line between, is this psychological? Is this an imaginative thing, or is it real? Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be cautious. Everybody froze, I think.
Yes, we all did for a second there. We all should be unfrozen now. At least I hope. But yeah, I hope that that God leads you where, well, he's going to lead you where you need to go.
Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think I will. It's again, it's kind of my last, the bridging of the gap before retirement hits, and it's always. I always try to put myself in situations where I'm not the smartest person in the room too, so that's exciting. To surround myself. Birds of a feather definitely flock together, and when you're in a group that where you don't feel like you don't gel anymore, or you don't have anything more to give, then it's time to move on. And I think at this point in my life, it's time for me for the betterment of not only myself but the betterment of everybody involved. It's time to move on.
Yep, I'll tell you. When working right now, they keep going, you got to think about your 5-year plan. I go, my 5-year plan has a little light at it, and I said, and it's the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I am not looking for learning a whole new, AI language at this point in time. I don't want to do that, and I don't think that your bosses get that when I'm this old now. I have about 5 to 7 years left in my career, and nobody wants to look at that. And they keep trying to push, hey, you need to get certified in something Microsoft. I'm like, no, I don't. It is strange. And Bart asks, is your cell phone number still the same?
Yep. Still the same number. It's funny, his name, right?
Yeah, it's Bart Taller.
Okay. Yeah,
but yes, I know. He got in trouble again on Facebook.
Okay. He's gonna get in trouble with that name, man.
Oh, he does that intentionally.
I know.
Because I had to tell Ron, I said, when you see this on Tuesday night in the chat room, I said, just so you know, you'll know it's Bart. So, but are you planning on being on any other shows anytime soon?
Not really. Just again, just kind of taking things day by day. If folks will reach out, sometimes I'll go, sometimes I won't. I think this is only the second show I've done in 2 years, and I think they're both been on your network. So,
yep, you were on with Rex.
Yeah,
when he was still on the network, and
did he switch?
Yes.
Okay.
And he started his own network, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, he moved to where he needed to go.
Now
and that's good for him.
I've thought about maybe doing weekly sermons. Something different. I've thought about doing that. I don't know whether I will. It's if I'm compelled to do it, I will. But maybe if people are interested, they can hit me up.
Well, do you feel compelled to speak up about God? Do you feel the need to minister and witness?
Well, at this juncture, no, but you know what I'm saying, that in the future, possibly it's one of those things. Look at that name.
Yes, I had to put it up.
Yeah,
I had
I know,
to put it up
I
at
know.
least once. So if we were on Twitch, that would probably have been, I would have probably blocked him already, but since I already knew.
Yeah.
So April asks, do you know the Book of Enoch?
I know the Book of Enoch. You know, I've read it. It's
What are your thoughts on that?
well, it's hard. It's hard to dismiss, especially, you know, if you look at the amount of strange things that are currently going on around the world. You know, all these discoveries, all these hush hush things. You know, and again, I love to put on my aluminum foil hat and discuss all these conspiracies and things like that. You know, just as much as the next guy beside me. But you know, the Book of Enoch, the giants. You know, it definitely talks about, you know, how he was taken up. You know, what was he taken up by aliens? I don't know, but it's interesting. It's interesting, you know, to look at all of the facets of it. Just like it's interesting to look up, you know, the Gospel of Mary and a lot of the other, you know, Gnostic Gospels that weren't put in the book, right? And again, as a historian, it's kind of like looking, you know, I can look at the Bible, but I can also look at, you know, like ancient Hittite texts, and when they jive together, it's extremely exciting because you know that historically happened.
Right.
You know, you want to talk about something that'll put you on the government watch list. Find a giant bone. Or, you know, investigate the giants or the aliens, and you'll be in trouble. I guarantee it. You know, it's interesting.
Well, you know, there's a lot of, I have not read all of it yet. I've read parts of it, trying to understand, you know, why April asks these questions. April is my family, so I try to find out stuff that my family knows that I don't know. And I've had a great night tonight. I've seen 2 of my cousins in here tonight, which has been wonderful.
Crystal's in?
No, Dan and Kitty.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
So it's nice to have my family checking on me to make sure that I'm still breathing. And everybody out there, if you're listening, please give us hearts, because that raises us up in the watch, you know, in the watch world. So, but I want to know more about these other books that never got into the Bible.
And it's important because, you know, again, you know, we all talk about, you know, and again, this is a pretty risky conversation, especially when you talk about certain denominations. You know, I look at the Bible and, you know, sure, it's the Word of God, but isn't the Word of God coming out of all of our mouths at every facets, especially when He knocks on the door? You know, again, it's hard to fathom, and we have to look at it from the humanistic point of view. We don't have the rationality to understand and dictate, you know, the philosophical component of what's coming through from God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, as soon as you realize that, then you become hungrier to read other people's interpretations, because all of those texts, they were all written, you know, especially the ones that were left out. They were written, around that first century. So they were more, hands-on, with this experience. And this is why, the Gnostic texts excite me so much, because it gives you that point of view. Like, there's such a gap when you look at the King David version, between when Jesus was a baby or a child up until, when he was going through his last components and he was crucified. But, the topic in some of the Gnostic texts that talks about an angry child that's learning, I mean, don't we all learn through experience, and we all change and shift? So it's exciting to read, something from that vantage point.
Well, I know that, all the books are supposed to be first-hand accounts from somebody, whether it's somebody witnessing we know Jesus didn't write any of them, but it was all witnesses of events that were supposed to have happened at some point in time. I always wonder how we know that's true.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, the reason I chose to interact and be who I am today is not taking blind faith. It's taking a relationship with God and taking one step forward. I think a lot of times people want to hear the answer instead of experience the answer. If that makes any sense?
No, it does. I mean, I'm not, well, you guys have already heard why I'm not a big church person. I don't believe that you have to go to church to love God, to praise God, to pray, to all that. Maybe for a child, it's probably better to learn since they're more in a classroom setting, usually when they're learning. But you can study the Bible at home and maybe even get more out of it because you can study that Bible in your hand. You can get online. You can look up some more of the stuff, the meanings of the word. Sometimes it's the meaning of the word and how it's used in that sentence. And then other times you need to talk about it with somebody else to get the shared knowledge of the community.
Well, I think the biggest thing is this. I don't have to sit and have someone tell me or tell my son who's gay and tell him that he's going to go to hell. When I know that God wouldn't do that, I don't need someone to sit up on their pedestal and tell me how to live my life when they're not living their life in that perspective. I'll live my life for the way Jesus Christ is intended, and that's for me to treat those around me better than my experiences here, and to be open to all walks of faith, to all forms of sexuality, whatever.
Yeah,
and I think that's important.
Well, like I've told people before, you may see me and see something else, but I'm in the same shoes as you. My daughter is gay, and I would not want somebody telling her that she's going to hell. I won't be very Christian when I'm beating the crap out of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all there is to it. And again, I don't care what somebody does in their privacy of their own home. I don't care, but don't put your on that, and don't say that I don't believe what I'm telling you, because I do believe that there's a chance, whatever their heaven is. And so it is what it is. And so I'm happy.
And again, it goes back. It goes.
Praise God.
Yeah, it goes back to that blind faith where everyone wants to. They want to be told what to do and how to encourage instead of living their lives the way they need to live their lives, which is the way God intended. He didn't tell Jimmy Crack Corn or whatever to go down and force you to act in a certain manner.
I'm so grateful everybody is enjoying this conversation. I really am. Because sometimes when you go to God, the conversation turns for the listeners. And to be honest, when you said that you don't want to be this, you're happy not to be the smartest person in the room. And when it comes to this conversation, I am not the smartest person in the room. I don't have the knowledge that you have. I've read the Bible. It's probably been 30 years ago, to be honest. Ron had a Good News Bible. I read that. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? What was
the Living Bible?
The Living Bible. And I read that way back when. I haven't read it since. And maybe I need to now. Maybe I'm ready to open that chapter of my life and reread it in today's terms instead of 30 years ago's terms.
And every time that I read a passage, every time that I listen to a passage, whatever, it has different meanings at different variable times in your life. It's really quite remarkable. And again, I have no ill feelings towards other denominations, other forms of spirituality, but I think the biggest thing is that oftentimes we forget to sit and listen, and we've already have all these preconceived notions as to who we are or our belief patterns, and this spills into everyday life too. Like a Republican and a Democrat, getting in there can't discuss each other. A Muslim and a Jew and a Christian, it's like sometimes they go in with these preconceived notions, but at the end of the day, God wants us to listen and to truly listen. And when we do that, frankly, what a wonderful world it would be if we would listen instead of just being, our preconceived selves.
Right. And listen aggressively as opposed to passively.
Mm-hmm.
I know that doesn't sound normal, but it's like when I work all day, I sit right here in this spot, looking at my monitors, doing what I do. TV's on right here behind me. It's always, it's on because I'm alone. I need the noise. So I am passively listening to that. Sometimes something is said that makes me turn around and have to look. That means that at that point, I'm now listening aggressively to that. We need to do that more often to the things that we're listening to actually make sure that we understand what we're hearing. It's like the news. We only pick out the pieces that upset us. Okay. We never pick out the pieces that make us feel good. We need to do the same thing with everything else. We need to start listening to each other and what we have to say.
Well, what the world has done is they've Googleized everything, right? It's where, I don't need to find the answer. I could Google it and it'll give me the answer instead of finding your own source. And, that's a big problem in our society, is the Googles, guys.
The Wikipedia. Don't read the Wikipedia. You can put anything you want on there. It doesn't even have to be true.
I mean, to be honest with you, I love Google and I love Wikipedia and I love YouTubes and I love the Facebooks, but
we still need to come up with our own answers.
Yeah,
the answer that fits us, and what fits Chuck is not what's going to fit Denise.
Yeah,
and what fits Denise may not even fit Ron.
And you know what? At the end of the day, that's okay.
It is. We're all different in some way, shape, or form. So I tell you, this has been a fun talk.
It has.
And Gary, you're right. People do need to talk and not argue. People are allowed to have their own opinion and not be yelled at for it.
100%.
Hi, Barbara. It's nice to have you here. If anybody has any questions for Chuck, please put them in the chat because we only have about 15 more minutes left of the show. So please get those questions in there. And Bart, yes, it is okay to be different, especially you. You are allowed to be different, and we love you like that. So, and you guys need to tune in tomorrow night at 5:00 Central when we have on Bart Towler and Matt Bennett. So it's going to be an interesting talk. And Matt Bennett.
Yeah, that ought to be hysterical.
It should be. Oh, and Ron will be there too. So you guys will love.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yep, there goes the neighborhood. We're probably be laughing a lot. So
it's all good.
It'll be fun. But let's see. do you have any events that you plan on going to this year?
No, and it's always funny, to say that. And I think that's pretty awesome because I'm open. If you want to invite me to an event, I put on a pretty good talk. You can hit me up. I am going to go to the Cambry House with Short Bus Paranormal in March. I guess, let's see. I'm trying to think of the name of it's in St. Joseph, Missouri. I think that I hear that myself. Well, Short Bus is going to put on an event. I think it's June 2nd. Check that out. Just follow me or whatever.
Is that the one in St. Joe, Missouri? Is it going to be at the House on the Hill?
Yes.
Now that it's not run by a group of people, we're more than willing to go.
Yeah. We're going to be doing kind of an overnight and stuff like that. That ought to be fun. It's always fun with Nick and Sue and Brian and Amy and the whole.
Well, I
gang.
have to say, Sue has always got the prettiest smile.
Yes.
So, and if she's listening, I wasn't doing that to brown nose you at all. She does. She has a beautiful smile, and they seem like they're very well in tune with each other. Her and her.
Genuine people. Some of the nicest people that I've ever met. We look at all these events and gatherings, and I look at my past meanderings and the battles of darkness. But at the end of the day, without those battles, I would have never met you and Ron or Nick and Sue or Brian and Amy or any of them. And it's definitely a blessing. You two are a blessing to be in our lives, and that's.
Well, thank you. We feel that way about you too, and every time luckily with you, we only have one Chuck that we talk about, so I don't have to be specific about you. There's some people I have to give Ron their nickname so he knows who I'm talking about, but you are very special, and you were one of the few people who called me on my birthday to tell me happy birthday, and I still have the message on my phone from when you called. And I always pray for you because I know that you are fighting a good battle for yourself.
I appreciate that. I pray for you guys as well.
Well, bad thing is I hide a lot.
Yeah, I do the same. It's again, we're a couple of hard-headed knuckleheads that don't reach out enough.
Well, you're like me. We're busy.
Mm-hmm.
We're busy all the time. And the only time I really get to visit is now. Mondays and Tuesdays, this is it. And sometimes I'm lucky to get home in time for the show from the kids, but it is what it is. My life revolves around my family. And so these 4 hours that I do these shows is really, it's for me, but it's for everyone. It's not like if we could do this without me being on camera, I'd be just as fun. I'd be just as happy as I am right now. In fact, I'd probably be happier, to be honest, because I don't like looking at my face. It's because it's hard to not look.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a train wreck.
It's like he's got a lot of gray in his beard.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't say that. I had my hair done. I pay for that. And cousin Dan says hi to you.
Hey, Dan and Kitty. Who else is
There you go. Now wave. There's Ron waving to you, Dan.
Oh, here.
So, yep, he's here. He's not gone anywhere. So, let's see. We've got just about a little bit longer left. Which was your favorite book to write?
I would say the Around the Dinner Table, Religion and Politics, the Butthurt Saga was the most fun.
Ron loved that book.
Any time that I can throw in a little bit of my, past experiences of being hit with a wooden spoon or having that broke over my butt, when I needed it, it's pretty exciting. And to talk about my family, that's That's pretty awesome. In the paranormal, I really liked writing Hell Comes Home. The story of Bill and Elizabeth. It definitely conjured up old memories, but it was kind of fun to write.
I have to tell you, the Butthurt Saga, I brought that on a plane. We were on a plane. We were going to Vegas. So we were going to Hell in a Handbasket.
Give me something to read.
And Ron goes, well, what do you got in your bag? I said, I got this book here by Chuck. And he goes, who? And I said, Chuck Banks. And I hadn't met you yet, but we knew who you were because we had seen you on some shows. And so I handed him the book and he couldn't put it down. And when I was reading it, like you said, smacked with a spoon. Well, in my case, I always tell everybody that I deserved every spanking I ever got, maybe not to the severity of which it was received, but I deserved every one of them. So
did Ron laugh as he was reading?
Oh yeah.
He did. He laughed because, the timing of that book was right.
Only one
it was
laughing on the plane.
Yeah. He was laughing pretty loud too. But
and I predicted Donald Trump to be president of the United States before anybody did.
Except for maybe Lisa Simpson.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those weird things that at the time, Adam Carolla had just written a book about something similar about, that kids need to go out and climb trees and fall and get hurt and all this other stuff. We got to stop protecting them. And, that we were raising pansies and all that. And I liked hearing that. I was talking to my kids. I lived in Paterson, New Jersey at age 5. And I used to walk to school twice a day. I know that sounds weird, but we could come home for lunch. Okay. So twice a day, I would walk from our house to the school by myself at 5. You can't imagine a 5-year-old walking to school by themselves today. Can you? No. I did it every day for kindergarten, first grade. And no, at second grade, we already moved to Baltimore. But yeah, I mean, Paterson, New Jersey is a big city. It's a suburb basically of New York. And here where I was, I walked by a fire department, over a main road, all kinds of stuff. I look at Ruby, my grandson, and I can't imagine him walking across the street by himself.
Yeah.
And the world was so much more innocent in 1970 than and this was even before you were born. The world was much more innocent in 1970 than it is now.
Well, I remember vividly back in 1988, we were late. We were late getting home. We were in Wayne County, Missouri. We were chasing girls, and so we were late, and I was freaking out. And my dad, he was the sheriff, and my mom, they were like, be home by 10. So we stopped at a stranger's house, knocked on the door, and said, hey man, I got to call my dad. He's going to kill me. So I called Dad on his phone, and everything was fine. You do that today. Yeah.
I did that too. Walking home in Baltimore. It was a 4.5-mile walk from the roller rink to our house. And my mom was sick. She forgot to pick us up. And we had to walk because, we were going to get in trouble for loitering if we'd stayed. And so I get so far and my roller skates are heavy, And so I stop at this lady's house and I knock on the door and it's 11 o'clock at night. I knock on the door and ask her if I can use her phone because it's starting to snow and everything else was really cold. And I have to call my mom. There were no cell phones. There was, nothing. So I call my mom and she answers the phone, but it's snowing. So it took her still an hour to find us. I just had to tell her the way we were walking home. By the time she picked us up, we had less than a mile to walk with those roller skates. But things that you wouldn't expect a teenager to do now. You wouldn't expect them to walk, 4 miles.
That's like, there's kids that are in 4th grade that have cell phones.
Mm-hmm. There's kids younger than that do. I mean, my granddaughter is almost 2, and she knows how to get my phone to do what she wants it to do. And not only is my phone different than her mom's and her dad's, she knows how to operate all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I just don't get. But again, these are probably one of the easiest babysitters ever.
Oh, yeah.
So, little ones that know how to operate YouTube. You could probably start his own, Ruby could probably already start his own gaming channel. So I don't know. It's just odd. If there was one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's getting ready to get started in the paranormal, what is it?
Go into it with your eyes open. Reach out to, to not just one person or a seasoned person. Reach out to multiple. Definitely grab a book and read it. But I think the biggest piece of advice is you're going to have to figure out what you can turn to when it gets real. What kind of faith you have. I think that's going to have to resonate. Definitely listen intently. Don't just go in blind.
If you wanted to give advice to somebody who was leaving the paranormal, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you probably won't leave forever. You're probably going to have some back and forth pendulum when it comes to the paranormal, because I think once you dabble, it's really hard to get totally out of it, if that makes any sense. But it's okay. It's okay to take a break and, walk away occasionally.
Yeah. Well, that's back to that adrenaline we were talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody I've known that's walked away from the paranormal, they've come back. Rose, look up
Charles Banks, author, and then Amazon and Google. It should come up.
It also comes up with Mr. Charles Banks.
That might be, yeah.
I looked earlier today, so that's how I got the 21, 22 books. So, because that's what it showed. Showed 22, but 2 had the same name.
And all of my books I have at the lowest price that you can grab them. So, and I really do recommend the Butthurt Saga. That one is great. It was current events at the time, but you'll see stuff in there that's going to make you go, that's happening today. You're going to really like that. His paranormal books are eye-opening, and I don't agree on some of your places on your trip, on the road trip one, but that's your opinion. And and again, as we said before, you're allowed your opinion. So, let's see. I don't know what else to ask you. It's, I have that effect on people where people will stop. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, someone had a question earlier. Let me scroll up. I'll find it. Let's see here. Okay. What do you feel about a pastor being involved in the paranormal?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's scary.
Well, I think everything's supernatural. When you're talking about God and Jesus and the angels and the stories, it's all supernatural, and the paranormal, in my opinion, is supernatural. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible. I've helped a plethora of families on certain cases. Some of them still haunt me to today. When I couldn't, when I didn't think that my expertise or anything could get something done, I used to, be pretty stubborn and try to fight it. Whereas now, I'll reach out to differing groups and let them, jump in.
Yeah. It's okay to ask for help when you don't know.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know the answer, ask somebody. There's somebody else who may have already dealt with it. I always tell people, if you got a question and I can't answer it, I probably know somebody who can.
Absolutely.
So, or I know somebody who can help. And sometimes the answer is, I don't know.
And I think that's important to say, or hey, I don't think that I can help you. It's okay to say no, or to tell someone, hey, you might want to go talk to another person. I think in our that's kind of my people pleasing personality, and I think the darkness did feed on that people person pleasing personality in the past.
Join the club. I always, because of certain things in my life, I always wanted to please everybody, make everybody happy, and be everybody's everything. And it took a long time for me to realize I'm not it.
Yeah, well, and then you you figure out, why am I miserable? Well, yeah, it's because I haven't taken care of myself.
Yep. So I'd like to thank you so much for coming on. If anybody has any questions or need to find
the Super Bowl pick.
I'm pick the Chiefs 31-14, baby. Mahomes.
31-14.
Yes, Ron's probably looking at DraftKings right now. Are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just.
Yes, he's looking at DraftKings right now.
Looking at something else.
And no, I'm not psychic. He's got his laptop out. He doesn't do anything else with the laptop.
I was just curious.
So,
what odds have changed.
So, join us here next Monday night for our guest Vanessa Hogel, the effing medium. So we may have to put a disclaimer on the show. So be aware of that. And she's called the effing medium because I gave her that name and she utilizes it. So, and Chuck's going, yes, she does.
Yes, she does.
Join us here tomorrow night for our guests, Matt Bennett and Bart Taller. We're going to be talking, probably laughing more than we're talking. So don't be surprised. So check us out at 5 p.m. Central tomorrow night. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys all next week right here. And have a great night. Thank you, Chuck.
You bet. Night.
Chuck.